Woo! Welcome! Oh my goodness. Planet Earth to the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're here at the lake. It's amazing. Just absolutely. Just as perfect as you could want it to be. Really. And the message I wanted to be bringing is a lot of the secret to getting on stage and being the imagination of people, being the thatness of the arness of the ofness, and truly when you get on stage you're it. You're simply brilliance is as brilliance does, substance is as substance does, genius is as genius does, spirituality is as brilliance does. It's like the sun is very much like you don't see anything else around or behind the sun. It's simply that the sun is, the great reflector and recapitulator of everything else, that it gives us the sky and that it inspires all life, that all life must be inspired by the sun, essentially is the non-official archetypal paradigm that we're all inspiring and progenerating and archetyping through. So I mean, it's definitely my pleasure to welcome, planet Earth to this slice of the paradigm. I very much want to say, capture your cuteness. Who you were born being is who you were meant to be. It's not that you were born to be someone, it's that you were born being someone. So you sort of have this whole capsule of your being swallowed by life. So you're not only what you eat, but what eats you. So all these natures are simply reflected through the ofness of the arness of the isness of the witness of existence, is that we are all of the ofness of the harness. If it's an arness, it's that we all have it. But I don't need to speak overwhelmingly brilliantly in light of the allegory of the sun shall illuminate all life. It's way more egotistical than I need to be. Right now I'm just walking up to the lake. Beautiful amounts of just February spirit here. Most besides the message of you are incredibly adorable and you are incredibly cute, and really hold on to that, that true being of who you are, that's aligned with, from within yourself, aligned with true love, merciless, fierce grace, and therefore beauty, and then, of course, the naturality of lovely, beautifully, mercilessly graceful, and oftentimes mutually beneficial truth. Be that self, and if it's meant to be, then you're sensitive, and you'll learn all these things, and you'll be able to say to people, hey, you there, character of the, alphabet of archetypes that we're all going through, I see what you're going through. I have been there. I have felt that, and the way that I got over that was through this sort of what I call an exochemical, from a sober point of view, being able to share a mantra with them of the how and the why it's okay to be feeling what they're feeling in order to be getting over what it is that they are in the process of in your presence. I don't know if getting over is the most appropriate term, or but getting back to being, the being that they were initially, in the innocence of themselves, in the innocence of imagination. If you look at imagination as a collective thing, instead of an individual sort of, I imagine this, you imagine that, we all come in perfectly as the imagination of ourselves. I often say innocence of imagination is the key to the harmony of enlightenment. That from being born of belief, we find feeling and knowings, and using knowings and feelings, we've sort of realized that everyone out there is very much to the mercy of the justice of the schemes and institutions that they've been born into, and so from that, we can conclude that if we were born as them, and in a single glance, we can acknowledge, oh my goodness, they're so beautiful. They're exactly as beautiful as I would be if I was born as them, and that's sort of that's sort of the smack in the face of feeling what we feel, because like it is, that we're all going through this together, and it is incredibly feeling based. But I don't think it's supposed to be me, you. I think it's supposed to be us, us, in the regard of we all have a me and a you and a here-ness and a there-ness of the beautiful balance of walking and journeying through this sunlit starscape together. One of the things I mentioned last night in the contrast between self-help and helping all of self. One of the things I mentioned last night. Anyway, gotta digress from that, sure. Oh yeah, is that I guess I was just gonna generally note that I essentially listen to not people who say like, oh, you feel better by doing this mantra or singing through this part of your being or all that. I don't go for all the self-help. I go through all of the planet is here. And as soon as you reduce yourself to being very humble on the planet, then you can be knowing of the archetypal landscape of being an organelle, being a little ant on an anthill. I think that's an interesting difference, because we're not ants or termites, but we're in this living language field of based on whatever model of matter you express. There's going to be a manifest majesty of something evoked into someone's memory, which is it's the human being, the humanity, the mankind of it. It's almost super ethical, and left to us to sort of principle and chronicle. To be something larger. There's a reason that we're not an ant, is that we have the entire planet, and I think that's incredibly precious. To let the inner child be very cute with, that there's sort of an interesting paternalism here of that it's not always the inner child, that there's sort of this inner father is the father of industry, which is a singularity saying it be it. While our inner child says, "Hooray, me! I'll be it." And it's just very interesting that we're not a tribe of mushrooms or whatever, but we're balancing these three kingdoms as enlightened beings, saying, you're so beautiful, you're exactly the same beauty that I would be if I was born as you. Is that we're the same beauty of plant, or the same beauty of animal, or the same beauty of fungi. It's not only that we have father industry, this amazing, unique singularity saying, whatever, it's saying it be it, but it's also that we have the mother nature, the love of giving, saying, gee, you are you. The plant kingdom is sentient based on what's taken away from it. Otherwise, it's just using air and dirt and making all these beautiful, beautiful things for us. So, the plant, animal, and fungi, in that order: plant, animal, fungi, the love of giving, the fun to take, the thrill to kill, and the fungi kingdom is the joy of receiving, which is interesting. That's what I like to tell people when I say, don't worry, you're already helping. You are the amazingly beautiful being that you were born to be. Born to be already. So I really want to take a moment to super thank everyone for being themselves. Because it's a big thing, whatever art, whatever trade, whatever direction you are musing in, it's meant to be. Big, big winds of grace towards your sails of your ship on your sailing during your journey, because, we are all here. And the ofness and the are-ness and the itness and the haveness and the witness of the, harnessing existence is that all of us are here. Not only those of us who are alive, but all of us are here. So super kudos to you being here in this way, that you are here. It's incredibly filling and incredibly full space to say such a thing, such a blessing, but it's what I believe in. I believe most of what we feel in the wind is actually ourselves, and that we can't even imagine, being ahead of ourselves in time because we haven't died yet to be sort of released into the other dimensions, and I very much believe that there's no dimension that we aren't released into as God, or the all-godness, the all-Godhead is sort of our dimensionality. It's not that it's anybody else's dimensionality or whatever. It's very much our home. It's a very interesting thing that we're building, like a sort of virtual reality home on this side of things. It's so equally dynamic and living, and maybe even more dynamic and morphogenetic and spontaneous and outrageous and sympathetic and gorgeous. I don't know, I'm struggling really to get back to my usual soapbox of like manifest destiny being a perfect thing, that yes, we have dominion over the earth so that we can exercise which type of dominion, because all the schools of thought need to be replaced by schools of thinking, as much as I say that the schools of thinking of individual self-help that I'm trying to eliminate away from, that it's more about that we're fine, that everything's fine. What we need to recognize now is that it's never that I'm fine or you're fine, it's that we are fine. Is that if you're not fine, it's because you're disconnected from we, it's that, we're all perfectly as we need to be, and the why of that perfection is, is that when I walk out to the lake here, it's not like, there's no greenhouses here. It's like, there's no public baths here. It's very, inhospitable, and for no reason. I don't know why there's not crop. I think we should be able to permaculture the land. I think we all should be able to migrate. I think we should be fixated on infinite values instead of fixated on finite values. I don't think it's a static stasis. I think that all we are is energy. Luminous beings saying, hey, I see what you're eclipsing. Let me take that, so that you can go on your way as you're born to be. So yeah, I think that I covered everything that I wanted to cover, and the lake is nicely frozen over, and my hands are totally freezing off trying to record this video, and I don't have a lot of good capacity of knowing whether or not I said everything I wanted to say, because it's like my 5th recording. But yeah, great greetings, planet Earth, from Commonwealth of Virginia, and I hope that all the dimensions that you are recognizing yourself in are very comfortable. As we're creatures of comfort, residing in difference, and I hope that you celebrate the difference, and the differences that are, the morphogenetic awesomenesses that you want to be basking in the jacuzzis of, and I hope you find plenty of good jacuzzis, that you're really celebrating the differences. It's going to inspire a growth that you're going to want to come back to. I hope that you're following your passions. So I catch a golden sort of falcon across the way. I've seen all sorts of birds of prey. There's a 5-mile loop. This lake used to be so fun to travel through. And I'll come back to my main message, I guess. Even even though, you're going through something that might be like pure static of life, you feel like you can't even hear your own intuition. Know that your cuteness is in there. Hold on to your inner soul being, your inner child. Really don't lose yourself. And if you do lose yourself, make sure it's in the passion of finding yourself. Because it's incredibly meant to be, all of it. It's incredibly mean to be sometimes. That we're all here with you, going through it. And it really is more of an immortal sort of, like unstoppable sort of feeling than a mortal sort of, oh geez, we're going to be stopped by something. And I think that if we ever don't feel immortal, then if we ever don't feel meant to be, then that's the space that we need to change. That's that. Walking through this place, I really feel like crop, should have the way to grow even in wintertime, which is crazy. It's crazy that we have so much abundance that like most of us feel fine. We don't have to grow crops in the winter. But yeah, I really do think that human values have to come first in light of mankind. It's not that the energy of money matters, it's that our currency of usness, comes first, always. Alright, I'm going to stop rambling. Everybody knows what the wind says. Ooga booga booga.